Hello? Are you there? Pick up the radio if you can hear this. I know you're there. I've been tracking you since you and Val arrived.
Who are you?
I'm the guy who's going to tell you how to survive. Call me Doyle.
How do I know I can trust you?
Well, for starters, how about the fact that I haven't turned you in?
Released in 2004 by Crytek and published by Ubisoft, Far Cry was a technological showcase that grew into one of the most ambitious first-person shooters of its generation. Initially conceived as a demo for the new CryEngine, it stunned players and critics alike with tropical islands that stretched far into the horizon, environments that felt alive, and an unprecedented sense of scale. At a time when shooters like Medal of Honor and Halo thrive on tightly scripted sequences and corridor-based encounters, Far Cry dared to open the jungle. It gave players freedom to explore, freedom to experiment, and freedom to fail. The result was a game that was both groundbreaking but also flawed. It pushed technical boundaries, created the DNA for a franchise that Ubisoft would later refine, and cemented Crytek as a studio to watch. Yet, beneath the spectacle, Far Cry struggled with imbalance, bugs, and a story that belonged more to a pulp action film than to a serious narrative. At its core, Far Cry is a first-person shooter with responsive controls and satisfying weapon handling. Weapons range from pistols, shotguns, and assault rifles to sniper rifles, rocket launchers, and grenades. The silenced rifle and combat knife offer a stealth option, but true stealth is rudimentary. The game thrives on chaos and firepower. The Sandbox level design remains the highlight. Large outdoor maps let you approach objectives from multiple angles, snipe enemies from distant cliffs, ambush patrols from the jungle, or storm outposts with heavy weapons. Vehicles add to this freedom. You can commandeer jeeps, trunks, and boats, giving mobility and tactical variety. One of the most striking tools is the hand glider, which allows dramatic aerial entries into combat zones. These moments, though clunky, felt revolutionary in 2004.
Down. It'll take hours for them to restore their systems to normal.
Enemy variety shifts mid-game. Human mercenaries dominate the early hours, using cover, flanking tactics, and group coordination. Later, the game introduces mutants, stronger, faster, and far more aggressive. These enemies turn firefights into desperate survival scenarios, forcing you to change tactics entirely. Some act like bullet sponges, absorbing damage far beyond reason, creating sudden spikes in difficulty that can frustrate even experienced players. Boss fights are present, though primitive. They rely on waves of stronger enemies or bullet-heavy encounters rather than inventive design. Combined with the absence of a better timed quick save system, these moments can sometimes be punishing. AI deserves credit for ambition, but not for consistency. Sometimes enemies ignore you even at close range. Other times they detect you instantly through foliage or walls. The result is a difficulty curve that feels less like design and more like randomness. Technical issues amplify the frustration. Broken mission triggers, corrupted autosaves, and cutscenes that fail to load often force full replays of lengthy sections. These flaws highlight the game's experimental nature, brilliant in concept, but uneven in execution.
Since I know you're there, I could have ratted you out already.
No sign of Val herself, but I found her camera. There's also a file here on some joker named Krieger.
If Far Cry's gameplay was ambitious, its narrative was anything but. The story serves primarily as a vehicle to justify the chaos, and in that it fits perfectly into the mold of a 90s action film. You play as Jack Carver, the archetypal reluctant hero, ex-soldier, now boat operator, who just happens to be caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. His dry sarcasm and constant one-liners place him firmly in the tradition of B-movie protagonists.
Do whatever you want, but as soon as we get a signal out, I'm done. I'm not even getting paid for this crap.
Tough enough to handle anything, but never above mocking the absurdity of the situation.
Thanks.
Supporting characters also fall neatly into recognizable archetypes. Doyle, your radio contact, acts as the mysterious handler, equal parts mentor and exposition machine. He's not a deeply written character, but his presence keeps the plot moving.
If they see you, we're both dead.
Who's gonna see us?
You don't want to know.
Then you have Valerie, the obligatory femme fatale. Valerie is a journalist who provides both motivation and occasional assistance, though her role leans heavily on cliché.
Just keep your eyes on the jungle, Jack.
The villain, Dr. Krieger, is the mad scientist, clearly inspired by Hammond from Jurassic Park. If Hammond had abandoned ethics entirely and bred monsters for war. His obsession with genetic experimentation provides the flimsiest of excuses for the game's infamous mutants, but it fits the pulp tone.
Jack, take a look into the future!
Even the mercenaries you fight are stereotypes, with the generic tough guy lines that sound like they came from a low-budget action script.
Understood! Yes, sir! I'm heading out!
The entire narrative borrows heavily from the Jurassic Park formula. An exotic island paradise, scientists playing God, and creatures unleashed that quickly turn paradise into nightmare. Instead of dinosaurs, Far Cry gives us mutants, but the DNA of Spielberg's classic is obvious. The tone is deliberately exaggerated and parodic. The writing rarely attempts subtlety. Instead, it doubles down on canon. Enemies scream absurd threats, and the cutscenes feel like they belong in a Saturday night cable action flick.
This is the location of the facility where they manufacture the mutagen.
The result is a narrative that doesn't immerse you with depth, but entertains you through sheer spectacle. It's not high drama, nor does it pretend to be. Far Cry's story works because it doesn't take itself seriously. For players willing to accept the campiness, the experience has a strange charm. For those expecting depth or coherence, it will feel thin and forgettable.
I'm coming for you, buddy.
This is where Far Cry truly left its mark. In 2004, its tropical islands were jaw-dropping, a revelation compared to the tight, corridor-based shooters in the early 2000s. Powered by the new CryEngine, the game stunned players with vast draw distances, lush foliage, sparkling waters, and bright skies. For the first time, you could look at a mountain on the horizon, set a course, and actually reach it. That sense of scale was unheard of at the time. The CryEngine also introduced advanced lighting and physics. Sunlight cut through the canopy, water shimmered realistically, and foliage reacted to movement, giving the jungle a sense of life. Environments felt less like painted backdrops and more like real spaces waiting to be explored. Compared to its contemporaries, Far Cry looked like it came from another generation. As the campaign progresses, the tone shifts. The vibrant outdoors eventually give way to dark laboratories, concrete bunkers, and claustrophobic corridors. These sections are functional but uninspired, stripping away the magic of open exploration. The contrast highlights Far Cry's strengths and weaknesses. Paradise feels alive, while confinement feels lifeless. Though they show their age today, character models were impressive for their time, with decent detail and expressive faces. The mutant enemies, however, lacked imagination. Their designs are clunky and generic, never capturing the menace that the environments achieve so naturally. Still, the sheer scale and vibrancy of the world remain impressive even decades later. Far Cry looked like a digital Jurassic Park, a dangerous paradise equal parts beautiful and deadly. Lastly, the HUD design complements the visual's philosophy. Simple and functional, it provides health, ammo, and visibility indicators without cluttering the screen. It allows the environment, the real star of the show, to shine.
What I'm trying to say is that you might be in danger of being affected by the mutagen. You might want to take some precautions.
Precautions, like not blowing up a nuclear weapon while I'm standing right next to it?
If the visuals impress, the voice acting does the opposite. Dialogue ranges from generic to laughable, reinforcing the game's B-movie identity.
I don't get it. There must be a couple of dozen guys between where they blew up that boat and here. How did he get all the way over here?
I don't know.
It's hard to take seriously. Enemies yell lines like "I'm gonna shoot you in the face" or "You're dead, buddy," but in a strange way, it fits the pulp tone. Instead of tension, these moments add comedy, reminding the player that Far Cry was never aiming for realism in its storytelling.
Thanks, Crow. You just made this real easy.
Oh yeah, I'm sure this is going to be a lead pipe cinch.
In this aspect, where the game shines is in its sound effects. Gunfire has a crisp metallic punch. Explosions carry a deep, resonant echo, and footsteps change depending on terrain, adding subtle realism. The jungle itself feels alive. Waves crash along the shoreline, winds move through the trees, and birds or insects punctuate moments of quiet. These layers of ambient sound create immersion that even the visuals alone could not achieve. In fact, many players remember Far Cry's world not only for how it looked, but for how it sounded. The soundtrack is energetic and functional. During firefights, tense percussion and driving rhythms amplify the urgency of combat, pushing players to stay on edge. In quieter moments, the music often fades into the background, allowing ambient sounds to dominate. This balance makes the world feel organic. The jungle itself provides the atmosphere, while the score punctuates the action. Unlike iconic soundtracks of the era, like Halo's choral themes or Medal of Honor's orchestration, Far Cry's music isn't something players hum years later. It was never meant to be a standalone highlight. Instead, it serves as an invisible companion, effective but not memorable. The Sandbox level design remains the highlight. Taken together, the audio package reinforces the game's dual identity. Campy dialogue and voice work that undercut tension, balanced by world-class ambient design that immerses you in the setting. Far Cry is a landmark, but not a masterpiece. It dared to move beyond corridors, showing players that shooters could be vast, dynamic, and unpredictable. It gave us freedom, spectacle, and a setting that felt alive. But it also showed the pitfalls of ambition, the imbalance, bugs, shallow narrative, and frustrating difficulty hold it back. It is a game remembered more for what it represented than for what it achieved. Still, Far Cry was the spark. The DNA of the franchise is here. Exotic locales, sandbox firefights, and larger-than-life villains. Ubisoft would refine the formula in later entries, but it all began with this bold, flawed experiment. If you enjoyed this review, please consider subscribing. And, as always, thank you for your time.